Hi, and welcome to Gonzarilla. This is a podcast about music, movies, comedy, all forms of excessive consumption. My name is Brian Bentley, and I want to welcome you to the very first installation, the launch of this podcast. It is our nascent effort, and I want to thank you for being here. And I wanted to back announce a song you just heard. That was called Fuck Youth. The band's called Super Bean. They were formerly out of Silver Lake, California. However, Super Bean is no longer. But fortunately for us, we have the mastermind behind that band, the guru, the creative force behind a lot of classic Silver Lake bands from the 90s, including Hill of Beans, Bean, Super Bean, and one of my favorites, the Abe Lincoln Story. Would you welcome to the show, please, Steve Moramarco?
Hey, Brian, thanks so much. Honored to be at the launch.
Yes.
The launch pad, very exciting.
I wanted to tell you that this interview has probably been, I think I've known you for almost 30 years. I think this interview is 25 years in the making. I never was able to do a print interview. You did a print interview with me regarding tagline writing back in the 90s.
Right, yeah.
And we were talking about some of the movies that I'd written taglines for, and nobody had ever done that for me, so I want to return the favor. And first opportunity I had, I wanted to do a podcast with you because I think launching a podcast is a great idea right now because nobody's doing it.
Yeah, you're a pioneer, Brian.
I'm a pioneer.
Third wave of pioneering, but hey, that's all right.
It's a good time. Everyone's chilling out. Hopefully, if you're a creative person, you are totally stockpiling product right now. What have you been up to, man? Tell me what's new, and we'll get into.
Oh gosh, well, I mean, yeah, Super Bean is quote unquote no more in a certain sense. I mean, I had a little trio of Freddie, me, and Rick. And that imploded back in November for a variety of reasons. But Super Bean sort of just basically collapsed upon myself. If I do perform again live in that format, I'll probably just use Super Bean because both those guys were not the quote original members anyway.
How did you guys? Can you talk about the various? You've used the word bean over and over again.
I know.
And when I first met you, I think it was '91, and we were standing on the sidewalk outside of Jabberjaw, and I think Dick Tit, featuring my good friend Carlos Cake Nunez. I have to give him a shout out in every podcast. But
Hi, Cake.
Steve says hi, but. You had some Hill of Beans flyers and you were on the street, and I just remember thinking this guy's super energetic and he's got a lot of energy. And can you just talk about what that was like in 1991 and just what you remember from the days before everything broke, before.
Yeah, it was kind of just a crazy time, exciting for myself as well. Before first had the band Hill of Beans. That's where all the bean imagery comes from, a folk band that I had. The joke was, you don't amount to Hill of Beans. We're the Hill of Beans no one else amounts to. Thought it was kind of funny at the time to be called Hill of Beans. It turns out, ironically, there was a folk band in Australia also called Hill of Beans, but they were a Christian band. And we had our song Satan Lend Me a Dollar. So I think even in iTunes, it's a little mixed up sometimes. And
was that your first hit, so to speak?
Yeah, that was the first sort of big hit. We had a couple songs on a cassette that we sent to KXLU that were actually kind of really, they started playing a lot, like out of the blue before Satan Lend Me. But when Satan Lend Me a Dollar came out, that was pretty stoked. This was before obviously internet and the CD was just coming out, so we were debating should we put it out on a album or cassette or CD. But luckily we there were so few CDs coming out at the time, and all these college stations had these brand new CD players. I thought so they certainly got to listen, and it had a unique catchy thing. So we sent out like 500 CDs, hand stamped them all, like did bulk mailing, did this whole thing, sent them out ourselves with a little, postcard, self-addressed stamped envelope saying, hey, did you get it? What number are we at? And got them back I still have them all, like, different number 3 here, number 1, like, you guys are great. Like, people really, the college stations were really into it, but it was, we didn't have a label or anything, so it was hard to tour, and that's a whole hill of beans right there.
Right.
But anyway, 91, I think, that was kind of a weird time for me, because then Hill of Beans did break up, and we were right on the verge, and it was just me and my friend Dave, and he just had other ambitions. I don't blame him. He went to Spain for a year. He wanted to study abroad. And
I mean, everybody knows these rock stars when they become rock stars, like when Beck, who you knew and who you played along with and hung out with. What were these guys like when nobody knew anybody?
Beck was always really talented and really, really mellow and super funny. And we had some really great times. I remember he came to Hill of Beans show and had the mailing list, but he put his name back in the address, just question mark.
You might get some money on eBay for that. I don't know.
But anyway, he was eager to just start playing. And I finally ran into him recently in December. I hadn't seen him in like 15 years, and it was great. And I really wanted to see him because he got into Scientology, as we all know. And, frankly, it kind of bummed me out personally.
I mean, the thing was, I thought it was interesting. Obviously, you guys were tight enough that you appear in the mime makeup in the Beck video Loser,
Right.
which has 125 million views. Wow. And I'm just curious, do you remember that shoot? Because it's one of the greatest shot and edited rock videos ever.
Well, that's Steve Hanft, who is basically invented, that sort of his own genre and style, and really helped give Beck, or at least let Beck showcase his personality. They just fused and created this great video, and obviously the song was really memorable. And it was one of those, it just happens. I don't know I can say it happened to me a tiny bit with Satan Lend Me a Dollar and a tiny bit with Fuck Youth, but obviously Loser was such a huge, to see it sort of take off like a tsunami wave and just sort of watch Beck surf it, was awe-inspiring. It was just awe-inspiring.
Did you guys do an in-store with him at Aaron's that I recall before?
That's sort of the funny story. Yeah, for Mellow Gold.
Right, but he hadn't hit big, because I had seen him opening up for the Smithereens at the Palace a few weeks earlier, and there were like 25 people in the audience at the front.
Open for the Smithereens?
Yes,
really?
Yes, he did. He did, yeah. And I just remember that it was this situation that's not too often when you have a friend or an acquaintance or somebody you know pretty well, and they go from, like you said, from like 0 to 100 in just like overnight. Did you feel like that gave you an opportunity to maybe get heard more because you were part of that?
Well, it was a double-edged sword. I mean, the problem was with Beck was that we did a split 7-inch with Beck on one side and Bean, my quote new band after Hill of Beans, and so it was a little hard because obviously we then became the flip side of the single. He was so talented and is talented, and there was never any like bitterness or anything, or lasting bitterness. I'm just saying, obviously I was frustrated at the time, but it wasn't like his fault.
Let's fast forward a couple of years, because there is something that, if anyone's listening to this, and I'm hoping we will get some listeners that know you at some point and can identify with this.
Well, I hope so, or I hope not. I don't want to say, what did you say, man, about me? Hey.
The thing was, here's the thing. What I remember, like one of the fondest memories I have, was the energy that you put into everything, the way you would ceaselessly self-promote, and I mean like in a way that was not irritating. I mean, it was literally like
Well,
this guy's
yeah,
ambitious.
there's a fine line, and I have been accused of.
Let's talk about something that everybody listening to this who knows you will relate to, and that is the incredible Fourth of July barbecue parties that you had at the Rockplex.
You
And
know,
I want to say that like there's several videos from the '97 show that I have posted on my. And I got to do a plug here for Bentley BT. That's my last name, Bentley. BT like bacon tomato on YouTube. Bentley BT on YouTube. It is you guys 1997 doing
right.
Grand Funk Railroad American Band, Get High and Go to Work, and then I also shot Possum Dixon doing Sex Beat, the Gun Club cover, and I think Ward Dotson was playing that day.
Right.
Those
Yeah.
parties, you never knew. You might see Crispin Glover run down the stairs with a briefcase and a
Yes.
trench coat. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. It was definitely. It was all accident, really. I mean, I didn't really even. The first Fourth of July was some girls who one of the girls who lived there had some friends. They wanted to do a mud wrestling thing. And so
That sounds
we're like,
punk. That's
all
pretty
right,
punk.
yeah, it was, it was pretty epic. That was the first one, and I kind of weaseled my way into playing because I'm like, hey, I live here now because I just moved and I want to have, and they were cool, and so we played, and then I think we had a few other shows back when you could obviously have bands in Silver Lake and no one would like call cops.
Right, right.
And then and I think that was Fourth of July. And then, I mean, how many did we do? 3 or 4? I can't
I
remember.
think I recall 95, 96, 97, 98.
Yeah,
I think
at 99, it was.
99 Fuck You played
Oh,
somewhere. I
right.
think that was either
Yeah,
that was like the last one.
it was a time and it was a place, and I was glad to be a part of it. I don't know quite what to say about it. Yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of work, but it was also just a lot of playing, trying to get shows.
We're talking pre-internet here. So we're
Right.
talking a situation where everything was either email, which was actually kind of a new thing, and word
Right.
of mouth.
Mostly telephone lists
Right, right.
and flyers, and and that was real. You'd have to call your friends, hey, I'm playing, and then they have to be like, yeah, okay, maybe I'll write it down, and you knew they're not.
Oh, let's talk about
So,
let's talk about Cutfoot. Cutfoot was
oh yeah,
instrumental, right?
Cutfoot, of course, that was the pinnacle.
Cutfoot, by the way, was a 310 phone number that you called, and there'd be funny messages, and there'd
I
be sort
think
of
it still
it.
exists, does it not?
Does Ozgang still run that, or I know
I
he was
don't
doing
know.
it for a while.
It's been going on, supposedly still going on. But anyway,
But anyway, it's really hard to describe to the average person what this was like. That there would be 150 people in this backyard, and it was really like that was back when the scene was so strong. And I remember saying to Carlos and some other people that the reason this works so well is the amazing attendance and how many people show up, and like the loyalty factor. So
yeah,
that
I mean, it was great because everybody had just moved to Silver Lake.
right.
So everybody's in the same area. The rent was cheap. Rules were kind of lax, obviously.
Neighbors were
And
cool. Neighbors were cool.
neighbors were there was maybe, I guess it's even before Spaceland and the clubs opened up, wasn't too many places to play because of the earthquake, and then everything changed. But yeah, it felt exciting to be in that time. I mean, of course, because you're seeing people, oh, they just got signed, or this,
You had a
so
couple of people that went on to big. You had a couple of bands that went on to really big success. Am I correct? That played there, that got recording contracts.
oh, I mean, that band Czar, they played there. Yeah, great. Didn't happen for me, but in my own backyard. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah, it's literally in your own backyard.
Yeah, no. I think Czar was the only one that I knew about. But yeah,
Do you think there's what do you think there was about the Silver Lake thing? I mean, I hate to say the Silver Lake scene, but I mean the LA Times did a story in the
yeah.
calendar section where they did a everybody on the cover. Do you remember that one? I think,
Oh yeah, I wasn't there for some reason. I can't remember what happened, but
but yeah, I just remember that all of a sudden it was sort of like Seattle. I mean, like record
yeah,
labels
it
were.
was. I think it was special because we were in it and we were doing it, and everybody who was involved. I can't say it was as amazing as say like Manchester or like Liverpool. Like, but there are a lot of great people that I met, and everybody's writing songs and rehearsing and really honing. Everybody's just vying to get the contract, and so I mean, I'm not saying it was like negative vibes, but there was definitely that edge to it too. So
The first thing that I think of is Ludafisk and them
right,
signing to A&M, and then,
right.
as I recall, they were dropped before they started recording, or do you remember?
I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't really know, but I mean that's the saga of so many bands.
the other thing is, I think you were one of the first guys to start doing residencies in local clubs. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, I did convince Mitchell to let us do the Monday nights, and he kept saying from the beginning, he's like, "I'm gonna get other bands," and then I'm like, well, "Just let us go."
We're talking about Spaceland right now,
Yeah,
right?
Spaceland.
Yeah.
But I think we ended up doing like 2.5 months. Yeah, that was great. I have a little poster of it. It was, it was hard to get people to go there. They used to have all you can eat spaghetti there to get there. I was like, can you imagine sitting at Spaceland eating spaghetti, all you can eat, watching the Abe Lincoln Story? I thought it was a winning combination.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you also did a pretty famous residency at the Onyx on Fridays. Is that right?
Well, yeah. I mean, famous again.
It's my first podcast. I need to come
Okay,
up with
all right.
better
Let's say it's
adjectives.
famous. Okay, but
Infamous. I don't know.
infamous, notorious. Yeah, it was notorious in the sense I was. You had Hill of Beans, and then we broke up, became Bean, and then I did Bean and Power Pop for a couple of years. It was awesome, but then I felt, oh, I want to do more eclectic, whatever that was, kind of like sing songs in Spanish or do
Right.
a disco song.
And then there
So
was
I decided that's when, so I decided to start from scratch, and luckily, yeah, the Onyx, the Michael, I think Whitmore, who was booking there, I just said, hey man, can I play here on Fridays? And he was like, sure. And so I think I only did like one or two Fridays where it was just me playing songs, and then I instantly, got a bass player, a stand-up bass player, trumpet player, guitar. I was playing guitar, like an accordion. Like also, all these people kind of came out of the woodwork. I knew some of them in different capacities, but there was for me exciting. Hey, yeah, this could work, and just do it live every week. Like, hey, okay, this is what we practiced or didn't practice. Check it out, and it was very raw.
it makes rehearsals pay off because you have that instant payback, and you can see how it wores.
I guess it's sort of a live rehearsal. And yeah, it was, in certain, it had its charm, but then for some reason, we got switched over on it. There used to be another Onyx I think it was just called the Onyx Echo, where that Spain restaurant is.
Yeah, yeah.
And so they had a bigger space, and so they were like, come over there. And that's, I mean, I don't want to embarrass Rob Z, but that's when, he wrote a book about it, so he can't be embarrassed about it, but he was doing a lot of drugs at the time. And we were playing, the crowds were just kind of rowdy anyways. It was very free form. I would say, it was maybe 50% music and 50% chaos.
Well, there was a show you guys played nude, right? With just your guitar.
It wasn't me nude. It was Rob basically turned around and he was naked playing the bass somehow.
Okay, yeah.
So,
And I'm sure the female audience didn't mind that at all. We're talking
yeah.
about Rob
So,
Zabrecki.
and
Rob
then the
Zabrecki,
lights,
by the way.
yeah, from Boston Dixon, who has a book. He has a book about the Silver Lake.
Have you read it? I haven't
Yeah,
seen it.
yeah. It's great. It's really compelling.
I'm glad somebody wrote a book about it. It's nice
Yeah,
to.
I don't. Yeah, and then they turn out the lights, and I don't know. There were a few times when we played that thing just got kind of out of hand. There was just that vibe. We were all young. We were again had cheap rent. There was a lot of people coming together in an area similar to, I'd say Haight or Laurel Canyon or like any other scene where they start out where it's cheap. Yeah, you can hang out all night and just, write songs and jam. And, so that was super exciting. And
You guys actually played on the Friday night that Kurt Cobain died. I know that may not mean much, but
that's right. I think that was the night when he was naked. I'll bet you anything.
well, I just remember being in the parking lot and having watched MTV all day long and just being incredibly bummed out. And yet then I saw you guys, and you guys made everybody just feel better. I mean, I remember that distinctly.
Really? And
Yeah.
which show was that at the Onyx?
That was at the Onyx, I think the original, the first Onyx, and
The one on Vermont.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember having people over at my house afterward, and it was everything was so great. Yeah, and then that happened. That was like,
The hardest part to me about being in the music business, even though I've never had a band, would be to me to deal with the egos, the issues that come up, the problems, the financial hardships, whatever, having touring and stuff. And you've managed to just like keep this continuity going. And one of the ways you've done it, and is with some of your videos. And I want to talk about specifically a video that was actually an early I wouldn't say it's PC, but it was basically a video that had to do with the environment, and yet you managed to I guess invade a convenience store or a grocery store and do this song called what's it called? I Don't Need a Bag. Is that the name of it?
yeah.
Can you talk about that shoot, and because it's an amazing video.
Oh, thank you. That was great. That was done in Lincoln Heights. And my girlfriend at the time, Bridget, helped me out a lot. She convinced the supermarket to just let us film there, and they were super nice. And we did it really quick, but they got sort of a little, they were looking at their watch and they were like, "Wait, are you guys really students?" Like she was like, "This is a cool project." So we just took over. Any good video in my mind is always about location. If you have the location, you have the video. So,
Well, I'm just wondering because I know how these shoots go. I've seen plenty of them. If basically store customers had to wait in line while you guys did the checkout scene, or if there was,
no, well, there was other aisles open. We just took one that wasn't open.
it was a song about how you didn't need to get a bag, that a bag was a plastic thing that wasn't good for the
Yeah,
earth.
I mean, the song originally was more just about when you go to buy one item,
Right.
because you're like, always whatever you buy, they throw it in a fucking bag. The movement was going on. It's like, yeah, you don't need a bag. We were lucky. We got some company. I traded. I don't know. Somehow they were going to use the song on the website, and they made it some commemorative bags, Abe Lincoln Story bags. It kind of had a small life, not as big as Satan Let Me Doll or even Fuck You for that matter. But
I want to get to Fuck Youth in a minute, but now that we're talking about I Don't Need a Bag, I understand you have a song called I Don't Need a Mask. Is that correct?
that's right. I had to update it. Well, I was going to update it with I Don't Need a Bag Part 2 was going to be about how you always have to go buy an expensive bag, or the new ones they give you, they're thicker now.
They won't let you. They won't let you in the
cents.
store with a bag now. Anyway, by the way,
Now, ironically, okay, all that's over. Yeah, we're back to plastic bags.
Were you going to play a song on acoustic guitar?
Well, that's it. I was going to play. I basically wrote the song. I don't need a bag. I rewrote it with the words "I don't need a mask," kind of updated. So I'm going to try and play it on my electric guitar.
We're talking to Steve Moramarco, and he is going to play his new creation that has to do with some of the lockdown.
How's that? Does that sound all right?
Sounds pretty good, man.
Let's see how this goes. I haven't played it on this guitar. When I go out to the supermarket, every time I go there, well, what do I forget? Whatever I buy, if it's big or it's small, they try to make me wear something I don't need at all. I don't need a mask. 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 Mask, mask. Mask, mask, you ask me where I think it's dumb to make someone wear a cotton mask if you're afraid they'll succumb to a disease that's 99% mild. And they shut down the country, and that's really wild, yeah. I don't need a mask. 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 Well, I don't need a mask, if you please. There's no science hiding behind your stupid degree. I don't need a mask, baby, can't you see? It's all part of the hypocrisy of the oligarchy, of the patriarchy. Well, the supermarket clerk, well, he scowls at me because I won't succumb to his tyranny. You think as a customer I'd have some kind of choice, but I gotta scream at the top of my voice. I don't need a mask. I don't need a mask. I don't need a mask. Oh. Mask, mask. Mask, mask. Mask, mask. Mask. The United States isn't coming to stand still. There's no more freedom. It's all going downhill. The next time you're in a convenience store, please think twice before you put on a mask. You don't need a mask. I don't need a mask. I don't need a mask. Well, I don't need a mask, if you please. There's no science hiding behind your stupid decree. I don't need a mask, baby, can't you see? It's all part of the hypocrisy of the oligarchy, of the patriarchy. I forgot one of the lyrics to it.
Where do you come up with your lyrics? That is great stuff.
Oh, like just, I mean, if you have to, it's better, quote unquote, if you know the song "I Don't Need a Bag" because it's sort of the same structure. It's if you will, a parody of my own song. And I just had to write it. I just look around every day, these people wearing masks, and it just blows my mind. I mean, it's like, do you believe in the Easter Bunny as well? I mean, what the hell is wrong with you? Really think this virus, if it's so fucking deadly, is going to be stopped by a little cotton mask that most people wear, their noses hanging out, or it's just it's the most psychotic thing that's ever happened.
I think Bill Maher described it perfectly. When you wear the mask at the bottom of your chin, it's like putting a condom on your balls.
Yeah, exactly. Or
I mean,
a friend of mine is like, this is a boon for the homely, I guess. You just wear a mask. He's worried about his teeth, so he's like, I can just wear a mask. I'm like, okay, I guess there's an upside to everything.
I think it definitely enabled some of the looters because nobody's going to notice a guy wearing a mask.
Well,
when he's
of
looting.
course.
I wanted to get into the politics thing, but I definitely want to address the biggest commercial success you've ever had, and that is the song called "Fuck Youth" that we're using as the intro and outro. That is a song that is, like a lot of your stuff, sort of possibly absurdist in the lyrics and sarcastic, satirical, but it has a riff, and your Rickenbacker, by the way, the tone you were getting out of that was just amazing. But it's one of those songs where the video like becomes the song, almost like Beck's Loser. You know what I mean? It's just like the video's so damn. It's called "Fuck Youth," by the way, and anyone wants to check it out, it's on YouTube and wherever you get your music. But you told me that was completely shot and edited on an iPhone.
Some of it was, but it was as it might as well have been an iPhone. I mean, it's a really cheap, $100 camera or whatever, and we had an iPhone there too. So there's a mix. I mean, you can't tell. I mean, nowadays, that's the amazing thing about these phones.
It's funny how the song just comes in. I noticed that right on a smash cut, like right, it comes in just like, obviously it was edited tight where you had been jamming, and then it just comes right into the first verse. So it kind of smacks you in the face when it comes out, which is
right.
great.
That was part of the luck / idea. Not necessarily equating. I'm just saying sometimes you get lucky. So in this case, I felt like the song, it starts right away. The title is "Fuck Youth." It was instantly engaging to, obviously, a certain demographic, it's over, say, 35-year-old punk rock people from all over the world instantly saw that and were like, wow, I literally shared it one time. I swear to God, some people were like, how did you do that? I wish I could bottle it and do it again, but the factors. It was just the right message to the right people at the right time, and yeah.
Did you produce the song? Because it sounds like it sounds like it was produced by Ed Stasium or something and mastered by George Marino.
We did the record with Mark Delton, who's an amazing engineer, and definitely had his sauce on it. I mean, it was sort of a collaboration, mixing wise, between me, Freddie, and Rick. They definitely put their stamp on it, and I feel like, it had a really good sound, classic sound, just Rickenbacker through the Vox amp,
Nothing special.
Nothing to, it slammed. It was great. I love it.
The video, to me, for one thing, it looks like part of it was filmed like in some sort of a abandoned field or something in East LA.
It's just behind. You remember where Hully Gully was? Or
Yeah.
They have there's a tower right there, and I just looked back. Again, it's all location. So I was like, there's the perfect location. So we shot about 90% of it there, and then I was lucky enough to convince a few parents to have their kids come down there. I'm like, you're okay with your kids saying "fuck youth"? They're like, yeah, no problem. So They probably didn't realize it was a kid. And yeah, it went off like a rocket, and it's about like 600,000 views on Facebook.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, the thing is also, I was looking at the comments section that's in there, and I was amazed at how many people from like all over the fucking place, like all over the planet, were
Yeah, it has that classic sound.
yeah, they were responding to it. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you were necessarily saying fuck you. You were just making a comment on people that just, they text instead of phone call. They have a
I mean, my it's more about youth, meaning just the fuck youth as a era of our lives. You got your whole life ahead of you. That's what I was mostly saying. That's what I was
yeah.
trying to say at the end. Kids today are a target market. Everything's tailored to them, to the youth, and I said, "Fuck you."
Yeah,
So,
right, exactly.
but obviously I'm also touching the button with the texting and, all that. And, yeah, it struck a nerve. And so people like simple, things are familiar. It's kind of comfort food. I mean, I think it's original yet familiar. So, and it was a great little platform for myself to sell a few actual vinyl records of Super Bean.
Well, there's nothing as good as a populist song that sort of hits the nerve at the right point. And I think one of my favorite parts of the video, other people have mentioned it, is the older guy going around in the motorized wheelchair who says, "Get off my lawn." Who was that guy, and how that?
That's Rick's father, Richard, who sadly passed away about a year after that. So it was kind of like bittersweet, but he did live to see that it went viral.
Was he an actor, or is that just some
No,
guy?
no, never acted before. So
Wow.
that was his debut. So that was pretty exciting. He was a great guy. We became friends. And I had a lot of time, so Richard would call me up, and I'd go over there, we'd smoke weed, hang out, and then I ended up writing a song about him because that we recorded, and hopefully I'm going to put out some more Super Bean music, both with the guys that
Is it still too early to talk about it? Was it just the band broke up because you guys were so good? Was it just kind of like people just kind of get burned out and just want to move on? Or was it?
we just had different, ideas of whatever. It was just too much work for myself. I looked around and I was just like, this is too much work, and the return on it emotionally was unsatisfying. I mean, not completely to do with the band, but more about setting up shows and then playing the shows, promoting the shows, and so and now all this shit. Now there's gonna be no live music anymore anyway. No punk rock clubs, So
That's the first thing I say when I was telling someone about that I was going to be doing this interview with you, and they said, "Are you guys just going to be talking about the past?" And I said, "What the fuck else is there but the past?" That means seriously right now,
yeah, well,
when you look at touring and you look at music, and it's like, yeah, the past was pretty damn cool. So
I loved it. It was great. There were some good times. There were some bad times. I'm focusing on this new part of my life personally. So everything that happened, I'm so excited. I mean, I know it's a bad thing to say, but in a sense, but for me personally, the lockdown and all the stuff just made me realize, like, I gotta move. I can't live like this. I lived in an apartment with no yard. I have a dog. I mean, it was okay because I worked from home and I could walk the dog, go to the library, and it was chill and had some good things. But all of a sudden, when all of a sudden everything quote unquote essential, basically, when you were listening off your podcast, what it's about, like I was like, oh gee, it's a podcast about everything that's non-essential in life. Like how they made this arbitrary
old habits, die hard.
And what isn't, and like I clearly was on the non-essential side of it.
Well, I want to talk about this because I when I first contacted you and we were talking about doing this, you said, "Hey, I'm gone. I'm in parts. Um, can we disclose at least
I'm
relatively
in a
where you
small
are right now?"
town in Arizona. I'm in a lovely, lovely town in Arizona. And if you're a friend of mine and you're listening to this, and you can reach out to Facebook and say, "Hey, where are you at?" And I'll tell you if I like you. I don't know. There's a lot of shit that went down. I'm emotionally traumatized. Lost some good friends over this whole COVID-19 thing. Just their position on it. I just can't wrap my head around the way we shut society down and all this shit. And I just can't do it. As an actor, I was starting to get back to my theater group, and also for an interview, a podcast. But that's not theater. I mean, theater is being in the same room with people, watching two people,
Right. And
perform. That is fun.
you wrote and directed and starred in a great little movie called The Great Intervention.
Yeah, I did that about 10 years ago.
Was it a sort of a mockumentary about interventions?
Yeah, I mean that's what I called at the time. I was like a hybrid of documentary with made up elements.
Well, let me ask you this. Here's my segue. See if this is cool enough. Do you think we need an intervention now? I mean,
Do
as
I
far
need an
no,
intervention?
no, no. Do we as a
We as a
society,
society, oh my
as a
God,
as a
yeah.
as a freaked out mass that jumps from
I
one
don't know
trigger
what's
to
going to
another?
happen. I can't. I mean, somebody needs to just slap people. Wake up! I
I,
know it's. I tried. I tried to joke about it. I tried to be serious about it. I tried to inform people about it. I tried to be cryptic about it. I don't know. And then a good friend of mine texted me saying that I needed to have my head examined, basically.
yeah. Well,
You know, and
I'm
I didn't
unfriending you
appreciate
because
that.
you need.
Yeah, well, I unfriended them, and a lot of people. I went really ballistic publicly about certain messages.
If it makes any difference to you, you're in. There's a lot of you have a lot of company. I mean, Bill Maher, Joe Rogan, a lot of people that are considered to be fairly well informed feel that the pandemic.
Yeah,
I mean, I have several words that I use. I call it the shamdemic. I also call Mayor Garcetti Farcetti, and I also call Governor
or
Newsom Governor Nuisance. And to me, it's not a matter of like, oh, I don't want to be safe or I want to, that I'm irresponsible. It has to do with the trade-off between the seriousness and the consequences of the illness, which are nebulous, to put it mildly,
exactly. It's just like,
vis-a-vis the trade-off of destroying the economy, which is
yeah,
not nebulous, it's an automatic, and it's happening. And if you talk to 1 out of 4 people who are out of work right now, that you say to yourself, like, where does this end? We don't even have a
yeah,
possible vaccine for 18
yeah,
months. And we got the mayor of the city saying, we're going to stay on semi lockdown until there's a cure. There's not going to be a cure, you dumb
yeah.
shit. There's no cure.
There's no fucking cure, and I know I don't know what to say. I just felt the noose tightening right when they said they were gonna. I think it was a week into the lockdown, right when they said they were gonna extend it. The first week I was kind of like, okay, do it. But then, I mean, although I wasn't ready to leave Los Angeles, I was planning to actually have two bands. I was planning to revive the Abe Lincoln story. I had the whole band together. We had one rehearsal. We were going to do a show at Highland Park Bowl, which obviously is a significant in my past as Mr. T's Bowl and Abe Lincoln story. And I was also getting together with Gwen from Bean, and we were
Nipper Sea Turtle, we have to.
aka Nipper Sea Turtle.
Yes.
We were going to just sort of pick up, because Super Bean, again, the three of us, we had a good run, 6 years, and did a lot of stuff, but it just flamed out. And so I was like, hey, I'm like, Gwen wants to play, so I was gearing up for that. And then they just shut everything fucking down, and I just hopped in the car with my dog and put some clothes in there and took a chance on an Airbnb in this little town. And as soon as I got here, I was like, this is cool. And
You know, I love the picture you have on Facebook, the profile picture with the cowboy hat and the aviator shades.
you know,
Some guy wrote it's Hunter S. Moramarco. Is that you put that on your
yeah,
page?
yeah, that's what you know. I get it.
I,
Um,
but
but
I mean, can you tell me? I don't want to have you disclose anything too specific, but I know where you live, and the town that you live is a very cool town. And do you feel like this is this is this a statement move or is this a permanent move?
well, I bought a house, so
Wow.
and I don't have an apartment in LA, and I'm basically, I mean, but it is only like 8 hours from LA, so that's a
Right.
good thing too. So I mean, I love LA. I love my friends. I don't want to see them with a mask. I just don't want to see them. If you're
Yeah.
wearing a mask and you have to social distance, okay, then I
What's it
get
like there? What do people do?
well, part of the town is cool. The part of the town is freaked out. Where the old section, where all the old buildings are, the old downtown, a lot of people sort of wearing masks, but then others not. And where I live, nobody's wearing a mask. And we got big house, a lot of properties, and everybody's cool down here. But it's infected everywhere. What Arizona is, you know.
It's kind of been known. I mean, people it has a bad rap as being gun nuts, and they had a few some PR gaffes, but it is definitely. I went to school at University of Arizona for a brief period of time, and it's definitely a state where they leave you alone. You can just kind of do what you want.
Yeah,
Is that?
I mean, I'm gonna say I've met all kinds of people.
I don't know if this how to ask this question, but are you in touch with anyone in LA right now?
Well, I
Yeah.
am in touch with
Okay.
some people. I'm in touch with a few people. Whoever wants to be in touch. I have blocked a bunch of people.
Well,
Uh,
why do you think they're, I mean, talking about social media, because like I was going to do a mono podcast where I just riff on my own opinion on social media, but what is it that you think there is, or do you have any idea of why social media has such a herd groupthink where when somebody posts something, they there is kind of like, okay, this is the party line. This is what everybody's supposed to think. So when somebody posts something on Facebook and somebody writes something contradictory, there's this almost like a pack mentality where you're jumped by numerous people who, Michael Snyder, a guy who
oh yeah,
is fearless like you are. I mean, he just says what he feels like and makes no bones about it. And
Michael Clearcy was my personal hero. And
Michael Curcio.
yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not on his feed, I haven't seen it, but I
Oh,
mean, what do you think it is that causes this feeling? It's really self-censorship in a way, because if you go out on a limb, then you get the Facebook punishment, the
right,
unfriending.
right. Well, yeah, you can literally get. And honestly, at first, I used to try and engage people and try and get that, and I got so insane. I just started deleting. I liked my sport for a time was to post something that I knew would trigger people and just sit and wait to the comments and then just delete comments like a video game and then occasionally block. Now, honestly, I'm kind of so busy with this house and just kind of.
I saw the photos of your house. It's very spacious and cool. Isn't it funny how when you move into something, it's just totally clean and then it just slowly gets filled up and filled up and filled up.
Yeah,
Something
it's
I've noticed.
literally like I'm like, how did I ever live in like
Can we talk about the comedian who lives in your neighborhood, or is that going to, that'll probably
sure,
idea time?
you could say, yeah, you Doug Stanhope.
Doug Stanhope is a shock comedian who, if you've never seen him or heard of him, he's on YouTube, and he absolutely is about the most un-PC, sits there and drinks while he's on stage and just insults the fuck out of the audience. But anyway, he is a character, to put it mildly. Can you tell us about how that whole Doug Stanhope thing happened? The
What?
thing about where you were, can you describe like
Oh,
his
I mean, that's
house?
how I sort of decided to live here in a sense. I mean, so I knew he lived here, and so I was like, oh, I wonder where he lives. And so I think I stumbled on it right when I got here. I didn't know it was this place is obviously like there's parking meters in front, and it's painted orange and stuff.
Right.
But next door to his house, it's for sale. It's still for sale.
Still for sale, yeah.
This is your big chance. You could move.
I just thought it was
Small towns are
interesting.
going to boom. The small town, everybody's going to, all the smart people are going to leave the big cities. That's my prediction.
Do they have any live music in town, or that's still?
They do. They have this great club called Chuckleheads that I like. That's actually a stand-up comedy kind of place, but it feels very Al's Bar, or, it's just one guy with a Hawaiian shirt, tending bar, and there's pinball, and it's big, and they have a little stage. They had an open mic. I did a couple night songs, but even the comedy scene here, I'll say right away, it was kind of like comedy scenes in general. They're not like, "Hey, new guy, welcome." You know what I'm saying? They always just kind of give you like, if they don't know you, kind of, And that was my take on the comedy scene here. No, it's just that I don't want to be in the comedy scene. So
That's a hard gig. It's a hard gig right now.
I'm just going to try and get a band together if it happens. Otherwise, I still got a drum kit, got my guitars, a bass here. I've got everything, piano. Got my Steinway here, my father's Steinway here.
Wow.
I'm here for. I own this house. I'm gonna go. I hope to go back to LA, say for a weekend, do a show, blah blah blah, hang out, and then come back. It would be fantastic if there's something to go back to. They keep canceling everything. It just blows my mind. They canceled fucking Hollywood Bowl season. They canceled Coachella, Stagecoach. Not that I really personally give a fuck. Not that I was going to go, but still, they are destroying that whole part of society, and they don't care. That's the thing. Like, Gavin Newsom doesn't give a fuck about concerts or punk rock dive bars, or they just look at it, oh, it's too dangerous.
The landscape right now is so uninformed, and the politicians that are making these decisions are people that are not scientists. They don't really. The LA County Public Health Director, she is not the greatest advertisement for a healthy looking person. She looks like COVID came and left her months ago. So
it's a nightmare.
I want to give you an opportunity now, because I know you have another song that you want to play that has to do with the COVID. So do you want to tell us what the song is?
I guess I'll play it.
Okay.
I kind of like this one.
No
I'm trying to get over COVID, and I hope this song becomes passe at some point.
But before you start, I just want to say that you're listening to Gonzarilla. My name is Brian Bentley. This is a podcast that deals with music, movies, comedy, and all sorts of other excessive consumption. But right now, the excessive consumption is panic and fear. So Steve Moramarco has a song he wrote, and anytime you're ready, man.
All right. COVID-19, you are so mean. You killed my music scene. You destroyed all the children's dreams. I once knew a girl named Doreen. She always kept herself clean. She died of a broken spleen. The doctor said it was COVID-19. COVID-19, you are so mean. You killed my music scene. You destroyed all the children's dreams. I once knew a bartender named Gene. He was living the American dream. He took away his livelihood, threw him in quarantine. All because of COVID-19. COVID-19, destroyed all the children's dreams. COVID-19 is a scheme to read all the people, everything. COVID-19 is a scheme to read all the people of everything. I once knew a governor named Gavin. He did the most fucked up thing I'd ever seen. He said no going back to normal until there's a vaccine for, you guessed it, COVID-19. COVID-19. You are so mean. You killed my music scene. You destroyed all the children's dreams.
Wow. That was tight. I like that.
Thanks. A lot of emotions. You go through the emotional roller coaster there.
That's what I would consider a protest song for 2020 right there. Listen, man, it's been great having you on the show.
Thank you so much, dude. It really was kind of you to think of me, and honored to launch this. I hope it, gets you whatever brings you personal enjoyment. That's all it's all about. You get to express yourself. Freedom. That's what freedom of thought. We at least have freedom of thought and freedom of ideas, expressing ideas, or is that gone? I don't know.
The medium keeps changing. I mean, I've been a writer for my entire life, and writing was, something that, was everything to me. And people don't read quite as much anymore, so you have to take your message and
it's all sound bites.
distribute it in different ways. But I just think there's something about an acoustic guitar and a dude just singing. It's like Bob Dylan or something. It's powerful stuff. But anyway, Steve Moramarco has been my guest, and he is living in the state of Arizona in a city undisclosed, and still out there preaching the gospel and the word of truth, in my opinion.
Listen.
And to whoever listens, and even if they don't listen, it doesn't matter. You have to speak up and
doing a lot of living right now. So again, thank you so much, dude. I hope to see you in person at some point.
I hope to see you too. Good luck in Arizona. Keep writing songs, man.
All right, man. I will.
All right. You take care, Steve.
Bye-bye.